And it's so good to see so many of you from Sunday's NBN Conference Mixer and from last evening's session on building the block beyond your boundaries. Thank you for attending our 2021 NBN Conference virtual session, the ACT Game. We are very excited to bring you this session in the return of our annual NBN Conference. Although we would love to be with you meeting face-to-face, our team planned virtual sessions to ensure we offered a safe, accessible atmosphere where more residents could be included. So thank you for showing up. As a few virtual meeting guidelines, I remind you to use the mute feature button when not speaking to reduce background noise. Also, feel free to submit questions and comments during the presentation by using the chat feature or by using the raise your hand feature. We got some great feedback, questions, and suggestions last night, and we hope to do the same this evening. In today's session, the ACT Game, you'll learn how to effectively tell your neighborhood story on social media and beyond from the experts. We'll cover the art of storytelling, platforms, and tools to use to tell your neighborhood story and how to leverage them and the best ways to connect with the city on social media. Our speakers today are Malika Kareem, founder and managing partner of Kareem Public Relations, and Andrew Cooper, social media coordinator and photographer for the city of Norfolk. And without further ado, I turn it over to Malika.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all this evening, and I'm excited to jump into the presentation. So we'll go ahead and get started. And you all let me know when you see the presentation on the screen. All right, I'm getting a thumbs up, perfect. So again, good evening, everyone. My name is Malika Kareem. I am founder and managing partner of Kareem PR. It is a public relations boutique based in Washington, D.C. And I do everything from social media to branding to social media support, training, also do communications and those different type of things. So I'm super excited to be here with you all and doing this presentation with Andrew. So I'm part one and he's part two. So we'll dive right in. I'm going to talk about how to tell your neighborhood story. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips. And tip one in knowing how to tell your neighborhood story is to know your neighborhood. So this one might sound quite simple, right? I think all of us, when we think about our neighborhood, we say, oh, I absolutely know my neighborhood. When you're thinking about what aspects of your neighborhood would really be great in terms of storytelling and what you want to share with others in your city, these are three things that I would say to think about as a starting point. So the first one is to identify your neighborhood's identity. What about your neighborhood is special to you and those who live in your neighborhood? Are you near water? Do you have a lot of young people in your neighborhood? Are there folks in your neighborhood who have been there for years? These are all hallmarks of a great neighborhood and good things to think about. In addition, also know your neighborhood history. So how has your neighborhood grown over the years? You know, is the restaurant that was there 10, 20, 25, 30 years ago still there? Do they still serve the perfect breakfast that you still love to enjoy? Is there a church that's on the corner that have been, you know, serving the community for 50 plus years that your aunts or your grandparents attended? And maybe there's even a new store, you know, a bookstore or something fun that residents like to enjoy. Really think about the history of your neighborhood. And then the third one is culture. What about your neighborhood culture really stands out? You know, what is it that you all do for each other? How do you show up for one another? These are three things, again, to really think about when it comes to pieces of the puzzle that help to tell your neighborhood story. So again, when you're thinking about what your neighborhood is known for and what makes it unique, these are some of the narratives that you can pull on to then tell in social media. So whether you are using Instagram or Facebook, and we're going to get into that more during Andrew's portion, again, these are all starting points for you to think about in terms of content, what you want to say, and then you can start to think about how you want to say it. So I'm going to share a little bit about my neighborhood. I just became a homeowner this year. I'm very excited to say that I live in Ward 8, Congress Heights in Washington, D.C. And our mantra is we're the soul of the city. So Congress Heights is a diverse neighborhood. We're off the coast of the Anacostia River. You can see the National Baseball Stadium from my backyard. And this community began with Native Americans who welcomed colonial explorers. And it's also home of the official practice facility for the Washington Wizards, WNBA's Washington Mystics, Capital City Go-Go, and Wizards G League affiliate team. So shout out to our sports fanatics out there. I think you would love to come visit one day. But I'm saying all of these things because these are hallmarks of my neighborhood. These are things that I think about that make my neighborhood special. And these are also things that I would love to promote on social media. So the first tip was to know your neighborhood. The second tip is to know your neighbor. So what's unique about the people who make up your community? Who's your next door neighbor? Who's in your cul-de-sac? Who are the people who have shaped your neighborhood and make it what it is today? What are your neighbors' hobbies? Do they like to garden? Do they like to cook? Do they like to host parties? How do you all show up for one another? And how do you all stay connected? Is it block parties, monthly gatherings, potlucks? And these are certain things to think about when you want to also consider who you're attracting to your neighborhood, right? So for me, when it comes to my neighbors, I live right next door to Curtis, and Curtis is literally the neighborhood lawn man. He cuts all of our grass. He is our go-to handyman. If there's ever a car that needs fixing, he's who we go to for that type of support. And then there's Dee, and Dee lives directly in front of me, and Dee has the most beautiful garden. She loves gardening. So whether it's sunflowers or hydrangeas, I know that if I need any type of gardening support, I can go to Dee. And then there's my next door neighbor, Sheila, who happens to be an educator along with her husband. And so anytime there's conversation about schools or reopening and different things like that, we always have great conversations about that. So again, when you're thinking about your neighbors, what are their hobbies? What do they like to do? And what I have here on the right side of this slide is an example of a story that is from Detroit. So Detroit has basically a person who pulls narratives from different communities and neighborhoods in the city. And so what he does is he goes to neighborhoods and he finds different stories. And so his team's sole purpose is to mine for good news, good stories throughout the community that can be shared on the city's platform. So this is an example of how something as simple as gardening, a neighbor gardening in her neighborhood, really took root and grew into a beautiful story that everybody celebrated, not just in the neighborhood, but across the city. And this is a great example of how you can take your neighbor's hobbies, how you can take what makes your neighborhood special due to the uniqueness of those who live around you, and really turn that into social media content. So again, as another example, think about landmarks in your neighborhood. Are there beautiful murals that would work well on Instagram? Are there children that like to play out in the street that you can also take pictures of to show the vibrancy and the liveliness of what goes on in your neighborhood, right? So this is an example of a mural that is in my neighborhood. And this is something that I just absolutely love, being able to walk down the street, having a walkable neighborhood, going to the corner store, seeing people along the way, being able to say good morning, check in and see how they're doing. And so as you are going on that walk, right, as you are going to that corner store, as you are visiting that neighbor, that's a perfect opportunity to think about, how can I take this moment and share it with someone else, right? So snap that picture, get that conversation and turn into a post. Those are some of the things that we definitely want to get you excited about that Andrew's going to talk more about shortly. And so we've talked about knowing your neighborhood. We've talked about the importance of knowing your neighbors. And now we're going to get into knowing your platform. So the one thing I want all of you to consider from this presentation is that content is king. At the end of the day, if you have a great story, but you don't share it, then nobody knows about it, right? There are all aspects of our neighborhoods that we love, but truthfully, there are also aspects of our neighborhood that we probably don't want to share. The goal here is to think about what parts of your neighborhood you absolutely would want the rest of the world to know, and find a way to connect with your neighbors and those around you in your community to share that. So again, showcase your neighborhood via pictures on Instagram, whether it's a beautiful sunset or you're with some friends and you're fishing or you're boating. That's a great example of hopping in a Facebook group and sharing that experience with other folks who enjoy that same hobby. Or also share neighborhood fun facts and neighborhood testimonials. Andrew's going to give a great example of how people in the city of Norfolk find different ways to share really cool tidbits of what's going on in their neighborhood and their neighborhood history. And also celebrate your neighborhood's milestones. Is it the 50th, 100th, 150th anniversary of your neighborhood being around? Is there a relative that lives down the street from you, or a neighbor who's having a milestone birthday, whether it's 50 or 100? I can say that my grandmother, who turns 97 next year, would be one of those neighborhood milestones. She's been in Saratoga and Suffolk, Virginia, almost all of her life. And so these are the type of stories that we really want you to think about. And then lastly, understanding that utilizing the right platforms to tell your story is also important. So once you nail down your content, you have a good idea about what you want to share, you've got good photos or video that you want to go with that copy, then think about what platform would work really well to share that information. So again, whether it's Instagram or it's Facebook or it's Twitter, we're definitely going to go across some ways where you can share that. And remember, it's about the whole package and how you pull it together. So the copy doesn't always have to be, 250 characters. You can just say a couple of sentences, have a beautiful photo, and use that to leverage a beautiful story about your neighborhood. What we want you to do is to have fun and to definitely use social media as a tool to not only connect with your neighbors and those around you, but to also share your neighborhood and the greatness and uniqueness of your neighborhood with those in the rest of the city. So with that, I will pause to see if there are any questions.
Actually, Malika, we do have one question in the chat. This is from Mr. Jim. He says, how do you handle letting your neighbors know that you're posting about them? And Mr. Jim, if I got that question wrong, let me know. Okay, thumbs up. Okay, cool.
Okay, that's an excellent question. And I'm really glad that you asked that question, because it is really important, right? When we're talking about going around and getting video and taking photos of people and things, it is important to get permission, or at least let them know that you're going to be posting about it. But honestly, I do it in conversation. So a good example of that, again, is my neighbor Dee in her garden. I literally will go and just say good morning. And one of the things we do is we talk about what's growing in our yards. And so her beautiful sunflowers at this point are towering over me in height. And I did ask her, Dee, I love your sunflowers and would love to share this on my Instagram page. Do you mind if I just take a picture and share it? And she says, oh, no, that's totally fine. Take the picture. Or she'll say, you know what? Yes, absolutely take that picture, but take it from this angle so that my house isn't necessarily directly in view, or so that some other things in my garden that are growing but haven't quite gotten to where I want them yet are not in the picture. But most of the time, when I tell people what it is that I want to do with the photo or the video and what my plans are to use it, they get really comfortable with it. They realize that I'm not trying to exploit them in any way. We're really just trying to share the beauty and uniqueness of our street, of where we live. So I would say just let them know a conversation is the best way to go about it. And you may have some folks who are not interested in having their photos online, but 9 times out of 10, I've found that people are normally pretty eager for you to share things that they've worked really hard on. Because when you think about it, Dee has been growing her sunflowers for 2 years now. So this is something that she's creating in her own space, in her own backyard, but then having the opportunity for that to be amplified, for her work to be seen by other people, also gives her a sense of pride and joy about other people appreciating the work that she puts in, a lot of times unnoticed. I hope that answers your question.
Cool. That's the only question that we have so far.
All right. Well, with that, I will conclude my portion of the presentation and kick it over to you, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Malika. You are a superstar. I think you just delivered some great suggestions and some powerful tools to communicate your neighborhood story. It's so powerful to just express your love to everyone else, because I think it's super contagious, and it just promotes them to share their own bits and experiences as well. And with social media, that can just be super powerful as far as growing your neighborhood, getting some support, getting people behind efforts, and really making some change. I'm all about connecting, and I really love your question, Jim, to ask, how can I take photos of my neighbors, and how do I let them know? It's something that I deal with a lot as the city photographer. It's a sensitive subject for some. You want to ask for permission, you want to make sure that they're okay, and definitely explain where those photos or videos will live. And I think Malika just really explained it beautifully, as far as maybe that neighbor will give you some suggestions on how they would like their photo to be taken, and that's fine. That's perfectly a good practice to use. So I just want to thank you all so much for tuning in right now. And I see a lot of familiar faces, and it's such a pleasure to meet with my Team Norfolk staff with the Department of Neighborhood Development, and just deliver some tips that I have as a social media coordinator for the city of Norfolk. I'm in the Department of Communications. I'm in my office right now in City Hall, and we have been working remotely for the majority of this pandemic, but it's just good to be back, and it's good to be out and about, creating content and posting information to you all, because that is our main priority, is to give you all the information as residents that really helps you succeed as a living member of this really awesome city that I just really appreciate. I'm a resident myself. I live in Ghent, and that community is really strong to be a part of. And I'm going to show you some examples of some of their efforts on social media. But honestly, you all make this city so great. You as residents from every corner of the city. I grew up here, and I lived in Roosevelt Gardens, and have just so much love from Ocean View all the way to Berkeley. And I really want you all to tell your stories, because you're the ones that are there. You're the ones that know your neighborhoods best. You're the ones that have the connections with your neighbors. And if you can just maybe post that on social and tag us, we would love to share it. And we would love to grow this kind of connection between each other. And I really would like to thank anyone that is involved with their civic leagues as well. You all do, incredible work. And when the residents come together and our staff come together, amazing things can really happen. So Ms. Johnson, thank you again for the introduction. Again, I've been the city's social media coordinator for a little over 4 years. So any posts that you see on those platforms are typically for me, but I have a staff behind me that support that, just like departments like neighborhood development. So with that, I'm going to go into what my presentation is about. Let me just share my screen really quickly. All right, if I can get some thumbs up to see if everyone can see that. Awesome. All right, so this presentation is how you all can best reach your neighbors around you through social media, as well as reach out to the city. Just to start off, all of these platforms are great places to reach out to your local government. We respond, we see your messages, and I just want to put that out there, because if we're active on it, please use that, and please feel free to leave your concerns, leave your comments, leave your suggestions. Those do get seen by us and our team. So before we start on this presentation, I have a question for you all. And it's a quick polling question that we're going to set up, and it's going to appear on your screen. And that is, what social media platform do you use the most? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it Twitter? Is it Nextdoor? I'll give you a few moments to respond here. This is really cool to see this active poll moving. This is really neat. Okay. Looks like Facebook is ahead with 50% for right now. A lot of Nextdoor users. 86% of the participants have voted. I say that's pretty reflective of how everyone is using platforms here. So cool. So yeah, this is actually to be suspected here. Facebook, as we know, is the most heavily used social media platform right now from every age demographic. And it's the, I think, most widespread tool to create your own pages and groups. And that means if you want a particular group that you would like to start, it can be bakers that live in Norfolk, or tree lovers in Ocean View, or anything like that. So this can be a really great use of a free platform to just create dialogue between your neighbors and between those people that are interested. So thank you so much. We're going to stop the poll sharing here. Let's see that. Okay. All right. And we're going to just start right in this slide. So the main question is, why communicate through social media? And I won't act like, you all do not know these platforms, but if you need some assurance, it is a great resource for sharing and receiving information to raise awareness about an issue that is pertaining to your area, your community, your neighborhood, and addressing those concerns and creating events. This all really builds your community. And a really big reason why is that your audience lives there. Your neighbors live on these platforms, your civic leagues, the news channels, local city government, and community organizations. And I think the biggest reason, or not the biggest, but maybe one of the biggest ones, is that it's free. You can activate an account for free and use them as much as you want to promote your business or your organization, your civic league, or your neighborhood. And we're going to get into some examples here through Facebook. So on Facebook, we have a graphic here at the top corner that shows on average who uses this platform. And you can see that from 13 years old to 65 plus, there's quite a number of users that use Facebook. I think everyone is familiar here with it. And what I would like to share, just some really cool exercises and practices that you can use to promote your story, to share your neighborhood history, or just to connect to your block and to create some change. So your audience, let's know your audience here. Again, your neighbors live here, the civic leagues, groups and pages, so specific organizations or specific groups that you may create live there, and then city government. So we're on there, we're very active. We try to really push content that is important to the residents. We like to share some really cool photos. I think the best posts always include resident faces and Team Norfolk faces, especially during these times where everyone has been in the house. It's really nice to see people out and about and hopefully doing safe practices, but really just enlivening this beautiful area again. And this is a place where you can really build trust. You can build your pride of your neighborhood, and you can encourage your neighbors as well. So this example from Nathan here on the right is from the Ghent Facebook page. And this is a page primarily for the Ghent neighborhood. And I know many of you live in different parts of the area, but this is a really cool page where people just chime in and talk about what's going on. They share some news, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more later. But Nathan here is serving a reminder to his Ghent neighbors that tomorrow is the first Wednesday of the month, so mind your parking. He has probably gotten a parking ticket in his life, and he doesn't want his neighbors to get that. And I felt like that was such a cool way to connect with his surrounding neighbors. And so he is seeking to inform, which is a really cool tool here. And Angela below is seeking to be informed. She just got a kayak, and she would love to hear favorite places near and far to launch that kayak. And so she has 20 answers there that you can see. And it just shows how much people are willing to engage and and share that information. It just builds so much community there, which I think is just so special. And so what we do from the city, and we encourage you all, is to obviously share your story, as Malika really went into detail with. It, I think, is the best way to really shape your history of your neighborhood for young and for old, and to really just live on those great memories that are from your neighborhood. I've seen some really cool posts where people will say, hey, do you remember this so-and-so cafe that used to be here in our neighborhood? Remember, I used to walk there when I was really young, and I just used to get this certain ice cream cone from there. And I wish, we could just all like go back there and relive it all. And it just shows a lot of our and we and us. And that, from a communication standpoint, just really builds a strong foundation for connection. So another good tool to use for some of these posts is to call an action for your residents. So this example of volunteer to help clean our waterways. So if you have some waterway areas around you and you would like to start a cleanup, or you know of a cleanup and you want to share a post, that's a great caption right there that you can put for your post on Facebook. And if you are in a civic league, this is an awesome way to promote your civic league meeting, because I know civic leagues want to engage more. They want a younger demographic, so Facebook is perfect for that. You can include some photos or videos, but what we like to always add in our posts from the city, and we encourage you to do the same, is to add all the important information. That is the date, the time, the location, a link if possible to that meeting. We like to make it fun, so we use emojis. I don't know if everyone likes to do the same, but that always spices it up a bit. And then we like to add our hashtags, which will always link someone who's searching that hashtag to your post. It's a great tool to spread and to share your content as well. Again, I added earlier that photos of residents are the best, unless they're puppies and kittens, because those just seem to do the best anyways. But photos of residents is a really powerful message, I feel, to show faces, to show community, to show how diverse we are, is something special. And as we all know, as residents of Norfolk, it's a really special place to live. And I think we have so many great stories to tell. So this is a little bit of advice from your social media coordinator, is timing of posts. And during, I guess, the old days, pre-pandemic, this was very much our guideline, where we like to post from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We find very high traffic during those times, as well as 6:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. Because from 4 to 6, people are either leaving work, or they're kind of at the end of their day, or they're just wrapping projects up. So it's not the best time, and we call that kind of the dead zone to post. But now that some people work from home, or their hours have changed, it's kind of open game a bit, but we like to stick to these guidelines in particular, because we've seen some success there. So I hope that helps you a little bit with your post. But I will say, as a social media educator, I've been educated that it changes very quickly. Social media is something that will always continue to change. So trends will always change. I would just say to tap into what works for you. And if it is photos, if it's your story, if it's just reaching out specifically to an issue, really go with that and go with what works there. Here's some more examples from the Ghent NFK page. And I'm not trying to show a lot of bias there. We're going to go to some other neighborhoods, but I just wanted to show some from my neighborhood, where on the left, you can see that Mary initially posted that her bike was stolen. And this is when neighbors come together. She says that good neighbors are awesome. My bike was stolen from my building basement sometime last week. I posted about it here, and a member sent my post to their friend who had just bought a bike. And she continues on saying that the bike was from Craigslist, and it was the the same bike that was in her post initially. So she went back and said, the person that bought the bike, I'm going to give you your bike back, and even took that cost. She gave it to her with paying that person and gave her bike back. And Mary was floored. She was so thankful and spread it to the Ghent NFK page. And as you can see, 189 people liked it with 14 comments, and everyone's just cheering her on there. And I think that's a really cool use of this tool, use of this page as well. And then there are just really practical things. And this kind of is seen on Nextdoor. But this question from Jen is anyone else's power out? Very simple, but very much in the actual time of the outage. You know, she is just building community there, asking questions. You have 28 comments, and I think that posted really, really well. And then this last one is from Christopher Revels. He's actually a local artist. He's a cool guy. He just posted about a missing dog. Like, how sweet are these encounters, right? Like, just saying, we found this dog and it's our mission as a neighborhood to come together and find the owner. I thought it was just a really beautiful way to use this page as well. Okay, so now we're going to go on to my favorite post or poster, and his name is Lawrence Morton, and he lives in the Ghent neighborhood. And what he does on this page is really neat, and I encourage you all to maybe take this and run with it, is that he likes to highlight one specific residence and just explain its history from when it was built to who has lived in it. And he just details all of the history of families that have lived and I guess like historical events that have happened during this time, and what this building has withstood and what changes have been made to it. And you just feel closer to your neighborhood. You feel so connected to what this city is now and what it was in the past. It's a really cool post from Lawrence, and any time that he posts on Facebook, it blows up. It just goes viral almost. I mean, there's 185 people liking it with 26 comments, and they're always just so enthusiastic when he does post. I also wanted to share this small business, which is called Less Than, and it is a zero waste and refill shop. And Chris just wanted to share his own article from his own business and just say hey to his neighborhood. Just say, hey group, we meet new people from the neighborhood all the time who happen to stumble upon us by the chance. So I figured I'd share. And he just explains himself. He explains what he's about. And it was just a really cool way to introduce himself visually or virtually, I would say, and just let the community give some feedback. And I think this is just another example of establishing yourself to your neighborhood and letting other people connect and say hello. So we're going to move on to the Lafayette Winona Civic League. And this is on your right. This is their page photo, which is a beautiful photo of the Lafayette River there at sunset. You can see that there's 483 members, and they have a very well-crafted about section. So they're explaining about the history of the neighborhood, the wards that are within that neighborhood, with some really crucial information and email handles for the council people, and also a link to join the Civic League. So as you can see at the bottom, there's a link to go to the official website of the Civic League. And I chose this photo here on the left to highlight a really kind of heartfelt message to the Lafayette Winona Civic League and the neighbors around, that this family is saying goodbye from a place that they really loved living in. And it just shows a perfect reflection of the neighborhood. It is on the water. There are beautiful views there and boats that go by. And this family just wants to, connect one more time and say, it's been a pleasure to live here. We wanted to say thank you for all the fun and fellowship. We also wanted to ask that you be sure to welcome the newest residents of this home with open arms. I think that is such a sweet message, and one that we can all try to practice eventually, and just say, hey, this is our family. We're proud to live from Park Place. We're proud to live in Bayview. We're proud residents, and our family wants to say hello. I think it's an awesome way to connect there as well. And we're gonna go to some best practices from the Larchmont Edgewater Civic League. They have what I think is a crucial tool in their Facebook page, which is explaining their rules of use. This is a great tool to monitor and to control comments. So they're going to post below that you can't post content or take any action on Facebook that infringes or violates someone else's rights or otherwise violates the law. It goes on to say you will not use profanity or racial slurs. You can see it's setting the tone here, and how people are going to conduct themselves on this page, which I think is super powerful. You will not bully or intimidate or harass any user or neighborhood. And I know we all see it, especially I would like to say on Nextdoor, where people can get pretty feisty online. People can get pretty feisty on social media behind these screens. But Larchmont Edgewater is setting the tone to say, that's not what's going to happen here. We're going to be respectful, and we're going to engage in a respectful manner. And I think that's something that you can all use for your civic leagues or pages that you create. It's a tool that we use on the City of Norfolk's Facebook page. And it really just protects you as well to say, okay, I can remove this comment. I can remove this content if it doesn't abide by these rules of use. On the left here, you can see that this is a reminder for a Civic League meeting, and it has the MailChimp address to click on and to sign up. It's just a simple post saying it's tonight at Max Barge if you want to attend. It's just simple, clean, and it's a good way to just post your content to get your neighbors involved and engaged. We're going to move on to Twitter, and this may be foreign to many viewers right now. Some don't use it. Some don't really see the need or feel that they want another app in their life. We're online already too much, so why use another app? Well, Twitter is my favorite app, actually, and it is because primarily it is a source of minute-by-minute news and updates. In fact, I would say second by second. So if you're interested in some national event or some global event, Twitter is the fastest platform that has swirling information shared around the world. So I really see its use. I really would like to say that not all the information is completely true, but it definitely is the fastest. And it's similar to the setup of Facebook, where you have a place to describe your story or to write your content, and to insert photos and videos and links and hashtags. But it's much more condensed, and you have to have a character limit. So I believe right now Twitter is at 220 characters. So you have to fit all your information in a bit of a condensed, shortened window. But this is an awesome tool to really find news and updates, and it's one that you can curate. So on Facebook, we all follow our family members and our old high school friends and cousins, and on Twitter, you can really curate your feed. Say you really just love golf or hockey or fashion, you can just follow those specific people that you look up to or that you respect. So you can follow professors, you can follow lawyers, you could follow news journalists or fashion icons. It's something that you can really curate to get the most out of your online use. And I personally love it. I am a big fan of soccer, so I follow a bunch of soccer teams and fans, And it's a cool place for all of us to connect over the love of the game, where this could be a really cool place to connect over the love of Norfolk and love of the city and love of our neighborhood. So I haven't seen any civic leagues on Twitter, but I have seen residents. I get messages from them. I get comments from them from our tweets. I say here's a little hint. It's the best way to maybe contact a organization that's really big and you don't want to stay on the phone for a long time. Just tweet them or message them on their messenger on Twitter, and someone will respond. They have a coordinator for that. So it's a great place to, again, share your photos, to call to action to your neighbors. And on the right here is a example of a post from the city of Norfolk. And this was a community beach planning day. And this just has a very, really basic picture of planting a tree with all the information of when this event is going to happen. And in the post, you can see that there are some hashtags there, which will always link you to posts that have that hashtag, which is just a cool use of sharing information. And then we tag Keep Norfolk Beautiful. That's the @KNB's dash VA there. We have the date, the time, we have the link, we have a little emoji that masks are required and that gardening tools and gloves are provided. This is just an example of what a tweet can look like, but it can just be a thought. It can be a saying or a quote or a little chain of stories. I've seen Twitter really expand on its use, and it's a fun platform to explore if you're interested. I would say that the timing of the post is just the same as Facebook, where 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. are the best times to post, and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. is what is considered a dead zone. And the next slide is going to be some more just quick examples of posts that have come from the city of Norfolk. And if you don't follow us, it's at Norfolk VA. We have just some examples of really great engagement. So the copy there goes along saying that in this post, we're offering a place of healing and support of our neighbors and friends in Virginia Beach. Find peace, serenity, and healing at Norfolk Botanical Gardens. They were offering one day of the week where residents can go there and just heal, just to be there and to use their space to heal from what went on at the Virginia Beach municipal buildings. And I thought that was a really special way to connect to the residents and to provide some healing space. So this next post, we're doing some emergency preparedness practices and exercises. And this post highlights our Norfolk Department of Preparedness or Emergency Preparedness and Response. And it shows residents, it shows volunteers, it shows time and place, it shows an email to link to find more information. And this last one is a really cool event that happened downtown, where there was this kind of blow up maze that was in collaboration with Nauticus and the MacArthur Center, and just invites residents to go have fun and to go get tickets and to go explore themselves. So now we're going to move on to Next Door. And I saw that some of you, or I guess the second majority of you, really use Nextdoor. And I think it's a great tool. It's definitely one where, as from a city perspective, we think that it is for residents. We don't want to bombard you with a lot of our content. We want to give you the most important news for your neighborhood and for citywide efforts. But we want the residents to really live there. We want the residents to really engage with themselves. So these three examples are from posts that the city has made, and typical ones that you will see are posts on trash changes, which I'm sure all of you have seen that have been logged on to Nextdoor, as well as holidays and weather emergency operations. We always provide our dates and times and links and contact information. And then we always try to deliver a call to action, like using the My Norfolk app, where you can submit your service requests about a flooded street or your trash wasn't being picked up. That is a really great tool to use there as well. But this is where residents really engage with their neighbors. This is a place to share your information, your concerns, to also share your requests. I would love to see neighbors encourage each other here on this platform. I've seen some pretty feisty comments on there, as you all may know, but that's to be expected when people are a little bit upset about services that are delayed or they feel like they're not heard. But I really want to encourage you all to find a place in you to just to reach out to your neighbor, just to introduce yourself, to start a conversation. I think we all need it right now in this day and age. It's a place to really like learn about your neighbors as well. I think too. I think you do a lot of learning on this app by listening and by sharing information. So I just encourage you all to respect each other on this app. As much as I get bombarded by posting, I really just care about you all, and I care about you all living in a safe place and one that you feel welcomed. But please reach out to me and our team through the messenger here, through the comments. We just want to add as well that on city posts, we try to disable the comments after 24 hours because we really care about you getting bombarded with a lot of notifications. And if that post gets left for more than a day, you can still be pinged on your email if someone continues to go on this post and comment on it. And some people want to rant. So we're just looking out for you there to make sure that you're respected in this space. But this is definitely an entertaining app. I know a lot of people wake up every morning and read what's going on in their neighborhood like it's like it's I don't know, the news or anything like that. But again, it's a great tool to just engage with each other there. And I appreciate all of your subscriptions to our posts. I think we would love to push more content here that pertains to you specifically, like whether it is some new road developments or road work in your neighborhood, or just a project that's happening in your community. We really want to use this tool to let you you all know as soon as possible to prepare, and then to open any kind of feedback. Because if we're not doing something great, if we're working late at night and it's disturbing you, please let us know. That is my job, is to share this information with the correct departments just to better serve you all. So thank you for using Nextdoor. All right, now we are on Instagram, which rounds up our 4 platforms here. This has been a very fun platform to use for me because I get to showcase how beautiful the city is. And this is a platform that is focused on imagery. So photos and videos and I guess learning tools and tutorials. It can be real. It's really growing right now. But for me, what I found are some really active civic leagues, and it's uplifting to see because you all are there. You are at your neighborhood event, and you can take a little photo and post it and share your little story. So Park Place is here. Let's see. I see. I did see Charles here. Oops, sorry. I apologize. I did see Charles over in Park Place, and I've spoken with you before. You have so much knowledge of your history of the Park Place neighborhood, and it's a great place to share that content too. So we really encourage you to show off your neighborhood. If there's a pretty mural that you want to showcase, or there's a community effort where everyone's getting together, have fun with this and post an image, post a video, go live during community events. That's a feature that you can click, and like we are on Zoom right now, you're just live for all of your audience. You can also use the Instagram story feature, which will leave a post up for 24 hours. So you can leave a picture, you can share an event, you can share someone else's post that you really want to promote. It's a really fun and youthful platform, as you can see by the demographic in the graphic above. A lot younger people use this app, but it's definitely changing and it's altering now with a lot of video content. So if you love to take videos of your neighborhood, if you want to, just share your walk in your neighborhood or share your bike ride, or if you live by the water and just show a beautiful scene, I think it's a great tool to promote your neighborhood, maybe hashtag your neighborhood, tag your civic league, tag the city. And once you start to do this, everyone will see your posts due to the algorithms on this platform, and it will be easily shared. And again, I just want to let you all know to reach out to your local government. All 4 of these platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, Instagram, are great places to do so. I get posts every morning that I go through, and that is from each of these platforms, and I relay all that information to the correct departments. And it's also just great to see you all share the love of your neighborhood and share the love of what you're doing and what you're good at. So I really loved what Malika said about the mantra of her neighborhood, and I'm curious to know what the mantra is in your neighborhood. So if you have one, feel free to type it in the comments there. I would love to hear what your neighborhood kind of wants to be identified as. I want to also plug our resident newsletter, which came out today for August. This e-newsletter packs in a lot of the information that has either come from city departments or come from outside organizations that we want you as residents to know about. So visit norfolk.gov/e-newsletter and please register to get that in your inbox. This is a nice little photo of our City of Norfolk Facebook page banner. And I want to plug a few more things. Many of you may already know the My Norfolk app. Well, I guess the Norfolk Cares Center. We really want to encourage residents to download the app and submit their requests there. You can submit photos and you can submit multiple requests and you can track them all through your phone. So our staff are really responsive on this, and it goes beyond those working hours. So if you have something that happens at 9 o'clock, that there's a pothole that you want to let the city know, this is the perfect app to do that. And then also to sign up for Norfolk Alert. Any kind of severe weather like we had kind of stroll through last night, that flash flood, Norfolk Alert will let you know that that's coming. So if you text Norfolk VA to 888-777, you will be registered for that alert system. Those are from our folks at the Norfolk Department of Emergency Preparedness and Response. They're on top of it, and they're super dedicated to letting you know about any kind of weather emergencies and the like. All right, we're going to move to our pop quiz. This is our last slide here. I think we're going to put some of these in our poll. So our first question is, what's the best platform for current news? And this is from my slide. So for my information, if you were listening along, I mentioned that there was an app that is the best platform for current news. I would say even minute by minute or second by second. You all remember? It was a long time ago. I know, I'm sorry. I think Malika knows it.
I do. Am I allowed to say it? Should I put it in the chat?
Hit it.
Twitter.
That is right. Yes, 100% correct. All right, let's move on to the next one. So what is the best app to post a pretty photo of your neighborhood? This is a very visual app. This is one where a lot of photographers post their content, a lot of videographers post their content. And it looks like everyone is getting this one. It's Instagram. Well done. Well done to you all that voted for Instagram. And we'll move to the third question, which is, which platform reaches your biggest audience? Your biggest audience. And that is the first app that we covered. Yes, you're all getting it. It is Facebook. Twitter or Instagram could be it too, maybe in the future, because Facebook owns Instagram. But for right now, the most users live on Facebook. It's a great place to share your content, to share your story, to connect with your neighbors. And then number 4 is, what's the best platform to reach your neighbors? Well done, everyone. Well done. It's Nextdoor. It is Nextdoor. So these are your specific neighbors. These are the ones that are on your street. These are the ones that are around the corner from you. So this is a great place to pose a question, to connect within your neighborhood, and just to connect in general. So these are some questions from our office. Do you watch city council meetings? And I'm loving these results. I hope we can have these recorded. I guess this whole presentation will be recorded, so we have it, but it's good to know. I'm not surprised that no one selected always. It's tough to always keep up with, but it's a really important way to hear from council in an approachable way, because a lot of things happen within city government that just travels through from department to department. But if there's something that's happening in your neighborhood, a new development, our city planners provide that information to city council meetings and deliver it for them to make a vote. So the second question is, do you watch city planning meetings? This is a great place to see what's coming down the road in your neck of the woods, or if there's a major change to code and inspection, it happens there. So let's see. The last, y'all are all very quick on this. Thank you so much. Number 7 is, how do you receive news about your neighborhood and city? These are great answers that we're going to use and retool in our department. I'm very thankful that social media is up there, because that is my role. And I will let everyone that works hard on the e-newsletters know as well. We have a very dedicated staff, from our web team to our account managers, who share information from different departments to provide to you all. So that is the end of my presentation here. Thank you so much for participating in all these questions and following along. I hope it's useful for you all to use in your own ways and to get creative. And if you have any questions, or if you have any cool stories to share, honestly, please pass those along. It will be seen and hopefully shared for the city to really celebrate and to champion. So I'm going to close this out. Let's see if I can stop the share here. And we are back to some questions.
Yes, let's get to some questions. So I'll read the last one first. So Ms. Wanda Turner wants to know if your slideshow will be available, or the slides in general, will they be available? Are you guys open to sharing the slides with our guests today?
Of course. Thank you, Wanda, for wanting to see those and to keep those. Absolutely. We'll try to figure out a way to get them out there. If you have any suggestions on which way you would prefer, if you want to leave your email or anything like that, Raven, if we can come together and think of some ways, let's do it. I would love to share.
Yep, at the end, well, this is recorded, so we'll have it available for everyone, but also we can share the slides to everyone who joined the meeting today. So great question. All right, so we had quite a few questions in the chat. So let me see. Well, one comment, I'm gonna let you answer this one, Andrew. Mr. Gary said the city does not always see, or the city does not see every post. So is there any tips that you want to give, the community if they want to share something with you all? What's the best ways to do that?
So there are a number of platforms that we operate on, and I know that if you message us on Nextdoor about something that happened in one of your Nextdoor groups, in your neighborhood groups, I'm unable to see that. It would have to be directly to me via my messenger for me to see that issue. And I've also noticed on Facebook as well, sometimes I will be notified of any interaction that happens on our page, and that can kind of be difficult to see all of the many posts that happen, because it's not just ones that we're tagged in. It's locally, it's just in this area, or it's organizations that we follow. So it's a bit difficult to see there. I would say that the best way through Facebook is to, within the post, put the @ and then City of Norfolk in the post, or to direct message us. We will always see the direct messages. It doesn't really get swept up in the ongoing feed. I've definitely seen some posts that were maybe from a few days prior to me opening up my my notifications there, and perhaps it's over the weekend, or perhaps it's past the hours that we're available. So the city operates within a certain time frame during the week, and that is from 9 to 5 p.m., sometimes 8 a.m. To 5 p.m. And so some of you all get off work and you make your posts at 7 p.m. and perhaps we don't respond until the next day. So that can seem like you're not being heard there, but I think the best ways are to direct message us, Gary. I think that's a good question. It's one that we really want to get better at. If you're reaching out to us, we need to make sure that you're heard. We need to make sure that what you're posting is passed along. So thank you for that question. And if you have any other suggestions too, Gary, let me know, please.
All right, so another question was from Mr. Jim. He says, or he asked, does Twitter have the same audience spread as Facebook?
Probably not. Not with the age range. I think a lot of users from early college to maybe, I would say 65 use it. That varies kind of wherever you go, but from local users and residents, I've seen a lot of people that are engaged on other apps really use this. So they're found on multiple platforms. I can't really say that Twitter is on the same wavelength as Facebook, though. Facebook just really supersedes it, and I think it's because people are just more used to it. Twitter seems a bit foreign to many, so I would love for Twitter to grow. I think it's capable to share just as important information. So if you don't know much about Twitter and you want to continue to ask some questions, please let me know. I can help out set up that account.
Cool, good deal. We had another question from Miss Addie, and she asked, are all community members permitted to write on the Facebook page? So I think this may be a good time to talk about the differences between having a Facebook account, a group, and a page.
Yes. So if you are online on Facebook, you are given a personal page, and this is one where you are an admin to it. You control who can post on your page, who can see your post, and that goes for the same for pages, which are created by someone. Perhaps you create a page and you only permit people that are followers of that page to post on there, or you don't want them to post at all. You can really control and toggle who's allowed and permitted to engage on pages. And it goes for the same as groups. I think groups is a little bit more narrowed. It's a bit more of a like niche community, where pages can be a bit more broad and more expanded on certain, I guess, passions and projects and what am I trying to say? Just activities. Where groups is, we are a group of North Side knitters, and we all love to knit, and we only talk about knitting. And if you don't talk about knitting, that's not what we're here for. Where a page is a little bit more expanded on. And so to answer your question, it depends on the settings for these pages, for these groups. Those are things sometimes you can't control, right? Because they're owned by someone. You can always message them and try to ask for allowances, or can you make me a viewer or an analyst of this page so I can submit content? That's just something that you would have to work out with whoever is the page master there. Malika, do you have any?
Yeah, I'll jump in too really quickly. I think what's really cool about Facebook and having those three different options of how you can engage is level of engagement, right? So when we're talking through having an account versus having a page versus being a part of a group, it again is like, how involved am I trying to be through this platform? So for example, if I have a Facebook account, I may not really be looking to be super involved in any one group or any one page. I'm just up there to talk to my friends, to talk to my family, to just kind of be vocal in whatever way I would like to be. Whereas if I'm a part of a page, again, to Andrew's point about the North Side Knitters, this could be a great way for you to just reach out to all of your community, right? Whereas the specific group could just be the folks who put on a specific event, right? So if you have a block party or there's a community event that's happening in your neighborhood, then posting that to your group page would be a really great way to share that information. Whereas if you have a select group of people who work to actually put this group on, this event, they're the ones who are putting, feet to the floor to make it happen, then you may not want to broadcast everything you all are talking about to the larger group. So that's an example of, again, just different levels of engagement. And anytime you're approaching any of these social media platforms, that's really a good thing to think about, right? Social media is not necessarily one of those platforms where you will have like 1,000 followers overnight unless you're a celebrity. So I think it is also important to just kind of put it out there that sometimes people do get on social media, whether it is Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, and they're looking to have like 100 people who automatically are following their pages overnight. And that simply just doesn't necessarily happen. So always be patient. And again, always think about like, what's the real reason that I'm on social media? That will help you figure out which platform works best for you. It'll also help you think about the best way to utilize that particular platform.
Can I just ask, but now you were saying all of these things that you've been showing us tonight were people in the community advertising what's going on. So was that just like one person writing on the page, or was that different people in the community? Do you understand what I'm asking?
And you want to take that one?
I think, well, if I understand your question, those are all multiple people through multiple channels and on different pages and coming from different areas of the city. So just a bit of a widespread example of different style posts. So this wasn't necessarily from one source or anything like that. It was just an example of how these individuals use it. And they're not, celebrities, they're not someone special. They're just residents that want to engage, that want to share their story, to ask their questions, to seek some help, or to help out their neighbors, to get them to join their neighborhood cleanup, or come out to this neighborhood church event or anything like that. So I think you all are very powerful in the sense of delivering what is important to you all, and to connect to those people around you through these channels is your best way to grab the attention of people around that you would like to get involved for free, or on an app that is accessible to a lot of people.
And to jump into, it's also, I think, a really great way for us to still push traditional channels and means of communication. So for example, some of those folks that Andrew showed in his presentation probably also share their social media handles in newsletters. They probably also share their handles with their neighbors. If there's flyers and things going on that are being promoted for a particular event or community meeting, they may have their social media handles on that flyer, on that printed material. And so for social media, again, because it can take a little bit of time to garner a lot of followers. That's why Andrew was also talking about using hashtags. So I saw in the chat, someone said, you have to convince me to use hashtags because I don't get it and I don't understand it and I don't love them. But there are different and very specific ways for each platform that you can build a following. Hashtags is one of those, right? So again, for the Northside Knitters, what are keywords that you think about when it comes to knitting, right? It may be the type of materials you use or the type of knitting pattern that you enjoy. There may be a particular knitter who is very popular in your community and you connect with them. So there are different ways to grow your community. We definitely don't want to dissuade you from being on social media because we definitely want you to be there, but we just want you to keep in mind that it takes time to grow your community. And Andrew has been with the city for almost 4 years at this point, and he's grown the social media pages significantly, but it wasn't just from posting pictures, posting content. It also was about engaging with those around him and using those other platforms, again, some of those being traditional means of communication, to let people know that your page exists so they know to find you and to follow you.
Hey, to jump in here, guys, a second. This is Gary. A little bit more clarification on my comment about Nextdoor. Full disclosure, I have a pretty tight involvement with Nextdoor than just being one of the users. The city and Andrew cannot see anything that is posted in your neighborhood or your area at all unless you comment to Andrew's direct comments. And that would be anybody. But also a good example, Andrew, you live in Ghent, I live in Crossroads. Andrew would not see anything I post in my neighborhood area because Andrew and I as neighborhoods don't see each other. Now, if I would log into my other quote unquote Nextdoor account, I see everything in the city. So if you are trying to get the city's attention, Nextdoor is not the platform to be using for that. That's trying to let your neighbors know what's going on around your neighborhood and things, but not so much Nextdoor. Also answering somebody else's question they put up, they asked, can civic leagues be on Nextdoor? Yes, they can. They would register as a business. Nextdoor does not see them as a government agency. And then the people looking for that business reference would go and look up example Crossroads Civic League is a business on it. So you would find Crossroads Civic League as a business. And convincing people of hashtags, go take the time to look up hashtag mermaid tales, which is this event. You'll find a lot of photos that were put out there by multiple people that they weren't put out there by Andrew. If I remember correct, Andrew, you weren't even at Sunday's event. So, but other people who are heavy into photography, one of my biggest things, I like to photograph the city photographer doing his job. Andrew knows that real well. So if you take the time, you'll see about 40 photos I did of mermaid tales, but you have to go find them under the hashtag mermaid tales.
Thanks for that.
Thank you so much, Gary. Oh, sorry, Raven. Oh, just thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I see you at so many events, and I think you're right about Nextdoor. It's difficult for me to see those posts. It's either from the government I see it from or your comments either on our city posts or through a direct message. If you're commenting within your neighborhood, I do not see it, just to clarify. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a very strong point. And thank you for backing as well the use of hashtags. It's a great way to, like as Malika said, if you're into knitting and you have this specific style of yarn that you use and you search that hashtag, you'll find so many people that have posted about this certain yarn, and you can connect and you can purchase it. Or with Mermaid Tales, you're going to find not only on Instagram, they'll have hashtags on Facebook as well. So I think one tool that I use, Addie, is that if I connect with someone at an event, I'll ask them, are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Twitter? And that's just a face-to-face. So then later on, when we both go home and we log onto our phones, we can connect there and catch up and continue on the conversation. And it's a great way to just kind of break the ice as well too. If you're at an event and you get along with someone, just ask them if they're online so you can keep up with them, so you can just continue to connect.
Great. And those are all the questions that we got, but I want to close it out with some of the mantras you asked for that people posted in the chat. So from Philip, he said, keep the pride in Ingleside. I thought that rung. As you can see, I said it like I was singing it. Jamie said, Woodbine, a wonderful place to live. Let's see. Charles Johnson said, Park Place is the place to be. And I'm not sure. These. Yes, those were all good. So I thought that was good. And maybe that's something neat too, to maybe put on your social media, just to put that out there to reinforce that. Because just like slogans with businesses, we remember it and we sing it, So that's the end of the presentation. Let's give Malika and Andrew a big round of virtual applause. We want to thank you guys for coming out and presenting today. We hope everyone learned something. So before we close it out, we want to just give you a few quick announcements, and I'm going to hand this over to my dear friend, Miss Denise. Where is she at? Miss Denise, are you here? Oh, there you go. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm not going to be before you long, just some quick announcements. I do want to echo my thanks to Malika and Andrew, awesome presentations. I will be mindful to ask people when I want to post pictures of them. So thank you for that, Malika. Ask your friend D to send some sunflowers my way, because that's my handle on Instagram. Andrew, thank you for telling me when not to post when it's the dead zone. So I won't put my collage of Raven during the 3 to 6 p.m. hour. So thank you so much for that, guys. It was an awesome presentation. I'm quite sure that everyone here that's on this call took away some great nuggets. I do just want to share with you quickly as a reminder that we are once again having our neighborhood expo return after not being able to do so in 2020. Our expo will be held on Saturday, September the 11th from 11 a.m. through 3 p.m. at Lakewood Park. So we're going to be outside again. We have been inside for about 3 or 4 years in the Military Circle Mall, but this year we're going back outside. So that's going to be very exciting. So please come out. Yes. In 2019, excuse me, here are some photos from our expo from that year. And our theme for that year was paying homage to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. So it's Won't You Be My Neighbor? Everyone donned red sweaters, khaki pants, and everyone just came out and had a great time. Civic leads really came out to support that year. They were showing all the things that they were doing in their neighborhoods. And that's what the expo is all about, guys. Bringing the communities together and highlighting what your neighborhood is doing to present that to the greater community, and that's the city of Norfolk. Next slide, please. Also, this year, the Uplift Award will be combined with our expo. So if you have neighbors or if you know of community persons or organization that really has done an exceptional job to really highlight what they were doing in the community, please submit their nominations by, I think I think that registration is open up now through August 27th, and the awards will be presented during the Export Award. We know that the year 2020 was a difficult year, but during that year, the Uplift Awards was birthed from our division. And the Uplift stands for Unity, Public Service, Leadership, Innovation, Friendship, and Teamwork. And we always know that teamwork makes the dream work. So if you know of anyone that should be highlighted, any organization that should have been highlighted who did selfless acts during this year, please nominate them for the Uplift Awards. And that's all I have for you tonight. We're going to turn the mic back over to Raven.
And actually, we're going to turn it back over to Miss Michelle to close us out.
All right.
Thank you, Raven. I just wanted to take the opportunity. I'm going to do a bit of piling on. So thank you so very much, Malika and Andrew, for your awesome presentations. Energy-filled, wonderful tips and suggestions. And thank you so very much for encouraging us to embrace the very best of our neighborhoods. When we're talking about, you're talking about people, places, things, and events. I just felt like I was going through a series of Neighbors Building Neighborhoods Academy courses. I heard some asset mapping. I heard some diversity, equity, and inclusion. I heard some setting neighborhood standards, even got a shameless plug about My Norfolk. It was a rich session. Thank you so very much. And thank you to everyone who came out tonight. We hope that you appreciate all of this. We hope that you took something away that you're going to use and implement. And we look forward to seeing you again real soon. Thank you so much for being here. Good night.